Hello, everyone. Frank and Darren here again, and we're going to continue. Mother
What was that? Jason!
Christ. Hello, everyone. Frank and Darren here again, and we're going through Halloween, the best and the worst of the franchise. And today we're talking about Halloween 3. Darren, as a kid, Halloween 3 wasn't much loved, was it? Because it didn't have Michael Myers in it. Until, what? Wait, it did. In a commercial. Within the movie. But we don't count that.
Yeah. And it, also later on when Atkins is forced to watch the TV in the room that he's been held in. But yeah, I didn't, I'd seen 1, 2, and I think I was on holiday with my family, and I saw this kind of on the side of a bus shelter, this huge poster, and we had like a witch's face on the poster in the UK, and it just said underneath, "The night no one comes home." And I thought it was like some sort of parody at first. I thought, are they taking the piss here? I was only, 9 or 10 years old or something. I just couldn't get my head around it because, as I've said before, I had this kind of Michael Myers obsession as a kid, and I didn't know what to expect at all. And I think it was a few years. I think my parents said, "Oh, he's not in it. He's not in it." I think it was a few years before I actually got round to watching this one. I certainly saw it before Halloween 4, but on first watch, I was just disappointed. And it's not until kind of the years have gone by that I've kind of, come to appreciate it for a lot of reasons. So yeah, it is the black sheep of the franchise, but a lot of people have a lot of love for it.
Yeah, and you and I actually got drunk to it.
Excuse me, Darren, I gotta throw up.
From what I can remember.
Yeah, we did. That was a special night.
We can't do that again.
No.
But yeah, you're right. It is the black sheep of the franchise. However, the growing love for this movie continues. And this was actually kind of John Carpenter and Deborah Hill going into that anthology route, which would have been nice to see. It would have been nice.
Yeah, it was a really good idea, and it's a shame that that it didn't kind of work out. I think lots of people have said in the past that it would have been better if it didn't have the Halloween tag on it, if it was just called Season of the Witch. Or some sort of Halloween anthology title, even though it's kind of the black sheep and it's not canon. A lot of the movies in the franchise aren't canon now, but it's not the worst by any stretch. And when people consider it within the the 10 or 12 films, whichever lineage you're looking at, it doesn't ever fall at the bottom of anybody's list. There are Halloween fans have love for this film, and it's because I think a lot of it is because technically it's quite a sound movie. Do you know what I mean? The music's fantastic. The photography's excellent. It's actually quite tense as a horror film in its own right. And we have Tom Atkins. So what's not to like there?
Stashed
Atkins, yeah.
That's the only Atkins that matters, when his full superpower is on his lip.
Exactly.
But let's talk about it further, because I know there's people out there that talk about it, but not to a lot of extent as it would be with Michael and Loomis and Laurie. But let's talk about the characters, and as our last 2 episodes, let me ask you, who is the best character for you in this movie?
I think just purely for selfish reasons, because I'm a fan of his, it has to be Atkins as Dr. Dan Chalice. And I think in this role, he's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. He just can't keep his hands to himself.
Womanizer,
doesn't matter who.
Drunk.
Yeah, drunk womanizer.
And a doctor.
It doesn't matter who it is. Whether it's the forensic lady, the redhead forensic lady that he has some sort of thing going on with, whether it's the older nurse at the start of the film who's walking down the corridor with her and slapping her ass and all that kind of stuff, whether it's how quickly he manages to get into Ellie Grimbridge's hotel room as well. There's just no stopping this guy. He's on fire in this film. He can't help himself. He's like Mr. Tickle.
He is so horned up in this movie. And as we have said many times, and other people out there have said many times, he leaves his ex-wife and kids for a piece of ass and a six-pack.
He does.
I'll get him next week. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Can you blame him?
Well, no. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But I think where he works in that hospital or that clinic, it's either got to be a free clinic because some of the patients there, if you remember the part where the car explodes and some of the people walking out look like they're homeless, and also it's got to be a hospital that doesn't have human resources because he would have been arrested by all the sexual assaults he's committed in that hospital. I could see, it says Dr. Chalice. It would probably say, cardiologist. And then at the bottom it would be like OBGYN. Like he would be everybody. Because that's how much of a perv he is in this movie.
Yeah, he's a piece of work in this film. And when you mention the bit when the car blows up, there's a scene there where we've already met his wife, who's played by Nancy Loomis, who's just terrible in this film.
We'll get to her in a minute.
I think it was it was one of her last roles, but she's just awful in this film, and she's giving him some shit over the phone, and he's
probably
explaining
through life too.
Yeah, exactly. He's explaining he can't go home and see the kids. And did you ever spot that fireman? There's like a fireman just out of to the left hand side of the frame, and he's being questioned by some cop. And I don't know what the cop's
right afterwards,
asking.
Right
you.
after.
Yeah. I don't know what the cop is asking him, but this fireman's he's nodding away and nodding away, and his hat's actually falling apart in front of us. The badge on the front of the hat has come loose, and he looks like some sort of bobblehead as he's chatting away. Yeah. It's just bizarre. And I only noticed that for the first time today when I had another watch.
No one said put some tape on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Atkins in this movie is kind of like our Loomis, isn't it?
Yeah. Although you did suggest one time that you would have liked to have seen Loomis go up against Conal Cochran.
Oh, I think that'd be great.
Wouldn't that have been great?
That'd have been. Oh my God! You are the cause of all this, Cochran. My brother. An Irish guy and a Brit just drinking themselves stupid on that set. It would have been fantastic. Ooh. Then at the end they shake hands and go to bed with robots. And Connell gets Stacy and Ellie. And Pleasance goes with that old grandma.
the one that's knitting.
Yeah, the head falls off. And he probably goes, I'm just going to take the head with me. After a bender. Jesus.
Come on, we're digressing. What about your favorite character?
Oh, it's Conal Cochran. Oh,
yeah.
He is if he was your grandfather, he's the type of guy that would bake you a cake, but once you bite into it, it would probably be poison.
Dog meat.
Yeah, it'd be like, happy birthday, you little prick, But he puts on this facade of him being he is quite charming. We talked about this before. He is such a charming guy. And he, everyone says we built this town up. He's such a great man. He's an innovator. The people who own shops, including, Buddy, he says, hey, he invented the whoopee cushion or the exploding dog shit or whatever the thing he invented as a gag.
Soap
he's
sweets.
The king. Yeah. He's the king of gag. And but then we find out his true intentions. Conal Cochran grows from this nice, happy man that you would, be charmed by and listen to everything he said, to this maniac that just wants to kill kids.
Yeah.
And give out sacrifices and be part of. But we don't know why he wants to do it, though. There's no. We don't know the benefit of what to happen, except for he says this is the biggest joke that I'm going to play.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it. It's like for a joke.
It's the anniversary, isn't it, of Samhain and the festivals that they used to have. I think it was 3,000 years or something like that, and he wants to do something to commemorate that, which is killing all the kids in the world, or at least in North America. Yeah, no, he is a great character, and we'll go on to the reasons why, I think, later on. Yeah. But worst character, Frank, who would you say is your worst character?
Oh, my God. Linda.
His wife.
His wife.
Yeah. Chalice's wife.
Oh. You know, it's just, we see him for the first time. She looks like his mother, the way she's dressed. And she doesn't, you could tell she doesn't want the kids with her through the berating that he gets every time he says, yeah, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. Listen, Linda, if you knew the piece of ass I had waiting in the car for me, you would understand why I can't take the kids. But it was her, you know, yelling at him on the phone, and her buying the masks to up him one. Yeah. Say, try again. Yeah. You know, say like you're just a complete loser anyway. These kids don't want you. That just her tone just pisses me off in that movie. She, like you said, she didn't want to be in this role probably.
No, and you know, I didn't pick her as my worst character because I'd feel a bit bad picking on Nancy Loomis or Nancy Keys as she is now. You know, I chose her for, you know, as my worst character in Halloween 78. She is not a great actress, and in this, she doesn't even phone it in. She mails it in this one, doesn't she?
Pony Express.
It's just it's terrible. So yeah, so my worst character is Marge Gutman. Poor old Marge. She's as bloody mouthy as Chalice's wife.
Who is really in this movie
as well.
Really is his wife in this movie.
Yeah, it is. For those of you that don't know, Marge Gutman is played by Garn Stevens, who was at the time Tom Atkins' wife. And while he was in that hotel room with Ellie Grimbridge, his own wife, real life wife, was getting her face chewed off next door. Which is, she's an irritating character, and I think, you know, and what do they call it? They call it a misfire.
Misfire. Yep.
Yeah, because it went for an adult
fiddling
rod
with the badge.
Yeah, she fiddles with the badge and it shoots her, and it basically incinerates her whole mouth area, doesn't it?
She didn't even say hello to Dr. Chalice. He was just like,
Yeah, she just storms past him, bitching.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It's probably because she knew the scene that he was going to do next. So yeah. I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Yeah.
Damn you, Tom.
There was a lot of tension on that set. A lot of booze and a lot of tension.
What is your best line?
So my favorite line, it's not a line at all. It's. I think that the whole Conal Cochran speech is just superb. The whole thing about his heritage, his the festivals that they celebrated, and as we said earlier, you know, the fact that he wants to go on and play the greatest trick of all. Mm-hmm. I think that sequence there where he has that monologue and he's got Dan Chalice tied up to the chair and he's reciting it all to him, it's really chilling. And when you actually realize, because this is just after the scene where Buddy Kupfer and his family have been killed, which is quite a nasty sequence. You know, the as we said in one of our previous episodes on this, one of the taboos in Hollywood is not killing kids, and Carpenter loves to kill kids. And he did it in this as well. He wrote the script and killed an 11, 12-year-old boy in it. In quite a harrowing scene when he puts the mask on and you know, we get his head kind of just being torn apart from within inside that mask, and all kinds of bugs and snakes and God knows what else coming out of it. Yeah, so yeah, it's not any one line that's in this film. It's the speech that Conal Cochran gives that is my favorite.
I agree with you. That's my favorite line too. Is that you see his face just get very devious and very devilish. He just stares at him. He slouches. He doesn't stand upright. And he's on that television.
Yeah.
And Dr. Chalice asks him, "Why, Cochran? Why?" And he goes, "Do I need a reason?" Mr. Cuffer was right. I do love a good joke, and it's the best joke, a joke on the children.
Yeah.
But there's a better reason. You don't really know much about Halloween. You thought it was no further than a stranger custom of having your children wear a mask and go out begging for candy. Begging for candy. Then he says, to us, it was a way of controlling our environment. It's not so different now. It's time again. And in the end, we don't decide these things, the planets do.
Yeah.
And at the end, he just says, "Oh, happy Halloween."
Everything was aligned. Yeah.
It was just perfect. Or the line, "We had a hell of a time getting it over here." You should see what
Stonehenge.
Yeah, just one. It has a power. You see.
They're all chipping away at it.
Yeah. But we'll get to it. I want to present you with a theory later at the end, and I want to get your take on it. But what is your worst line?
So the worst line for me is one that makes me cringe every time, and it's that moment where it's not what Atkins says, it's what Ellie says. When she says, "Where do you want to sleep, Dr. Chalice?"
Oh, okay. That's a stupid question to ask. Miss Cambridge.
Miss Grimbridge.
Cambridge.
Her too.
Miss Yorkshire, whatever.
Yeah, it's a terrible line, one that jars with me every time I watch it, because it's just like, he's like kind of in his 40s or something, late 40s. And he actually turns around to her and asks her at one point, or she says something along the lines to her, "Don't worry, I'm old enough."
Dr. Chalice had this habit of, it seems like he asked women their age during the act. Old enough?
Or their names.
Oh, yeah.
In the fog, he kind of, he sleeps with Jamie Lee Curtis and then afterwards asks her what her name is.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's a terrible line. But my terrible line, because I find that fucking funny. My terrible line is when he escapes and he calls his wife, and he's freaking out. And he's going, Linda. Shut up.
Linda, let's...
Go to hell.
Linda. Just hang up on her. She ain't helping you.
Doesn't she even tell him to go to hell?
Yeah, go to hell.
Go to hell.
Linda. Shut up. Maybe you should tell her to shut up. Shut up. It's just.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that bothered me. He was using the phone. He knew he wasn't going to. We didn't need that whole phone scene. Him. We didn't need it. But that always.
What's she
going
to do anyway?
No, she's going to yell at him some more. I don't want to see my Tom Atkins, in distress.
No.
I don't want to see him like freaking out, sweating, like, she said she was 18. Linda, help me. I don't want to see that.
I know what you mean. He's always, every role that Atkins portrays, he's like the ultimate man's man, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes.
And so, he does come across as quite vulnerable in places. And although I guess that, what he goes through isn't as kind of humiliating as what he goes through in Maniac Cop when he's slammed around those filing cabinets.
Oh, yeah.
I know what you mean. We don't like seeing him vulnerable or anything like that. And yeah, that's I never really thought about that as being a bad line.
Okay, so your best kill.
Even though she's my worst character, she does have the best kill in the movie, and that's Marge Gutman. And that whole scene where she's picking the back of the microchip on the mask, and we have a misfire, and it goes off in her face and totally tears the front of her face off. And the reason why I like this, why I appreciate this, is one, it's a great effect. You know, it was done really well for 1982, I believe. And two, we didn't get to see that in the UK until fairly recently. Yeah, they cut that whole sequence out in the UK in order to get a lower rating on the movie. So that whole shot of, you got the bit when it blasted her in the face, but that shot afterwards with the face with the damage around here where everything's kind of burnt away, and her eyes are her eyes are all kind of bulging and red. Mm-hmm. That was removed, and it's such a it's a great effect, and you can actually buy masks of that victim now. I don't know if you've seen them online. You can buy a Marge Gutman mask, and it was such a shame that the really weird thing was and somebody like Gareth Packham will back me up on this, but they cut it off the VHS, that sequence, but anytime the movie was on television, that sequence was left in. So if you wanted your proper Halloween 3 fix, you had to watch the TV version, because the VHS that you would buy or rent just had that. It was removed, was that sequence.
It's a slow reveal, isn't it? Because her hands are covering her face.
Yeah, yeah.
And then to add insult to injury, critters come out of her mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Poor old Marge.
Yeah.
Poor old Marge.
For me, my best kill is the homeless guy. It was actually a tie. It was a tie. I had to choose either between the homeless guy with his head being ripped off, or the medical examiner with the drill in the head.
Right. Yeah.
But you can. The tension was what kills you. But I choose this because you hear the sound of the head being ripped off.
Yeah.
It's like someone squeezing a head of lettuce.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, is that? And I'm not really fond of the position that he's in as well when that's going on.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah. But the funny thing is, too, is Dick Warlock, he pulls it off, but he doesn't look at the head really too much. He just
tosses it aside, doesn't he? Yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah, it was a toss-up between Marge and the homeless guy getting his Swede pulled off for me. But yeah, Marge just edged it. Although they're both pretty good kills. But also, the murder of the Kupfer family as well is pretty nasty.
One faints.
I guess it's the I don't know. Is it the noise, the frequency in there that does it to them as they're watching the TV? Because the mask is to kill the kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you've got all this kind of noise in there that eventually they just both faint, don't they? They pass out.
She passes out, but Big Buddy gets bit by the rattlesnake.
Ah, that's it. Yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah,
because he was wearing the Uncle Eddie shoes.
He wasn't he?
That's fucking shoes.
Uncle Eddie. Buddy Kupfer.
Who you thought was Hoyt Hankston from Gremlins.
I did. I thought it was Zach Galligan's dad in Gremlins at first, but it's not, is it? It's just, they just look similar. It's just, they're two large gentlemen. Worst kill.
Worst kill is probably... This is hard. This is tough. Worst kill for me is Cochran.
Yeah, me too.
I have no idea, but I was going to put worst kill being, tongue-in-cheek here, the children at the end, because it would be nice to see all the children's head exploding. But Tommy Lee Wallace wanted to put it in as the credits were going up.
Yeah.
Hearing all these screams and poppins. Everyone's like, no, you can't put that in. That's crazy. So I was going to put that in as worst kill because we didn't get to see that. But yeah, Colin Cochran just disappears.
Yeah,
no idea what happens to him.
Bizarre, given what this mineral does to all these kids, and he's kind of zapped with a huge kind of bolt of it from the whole Stonehenge rock. I expected him to be like to just explode, which really should have happened. He should have just been decimated, but instead he kind of like turns into like a paper mache model of himself,
doll, the smile,
and and then goes invisible.
You would think that he would. There's always talks that they would make a sequel to this one later on, and that they would have a brother or another factory worker take over and all that crap. But it would have been nice to see Dan come back and reprise this role as something else, because we don't really know how old he is. He could be old, like really old. But yeah, that's a terrible kill for him. Terrible kill.
Yeah. And what does he just incinerate or something? Does he just
vaporizes? You hear?
Yeah, I just think it's a poor effect, isn't it? If it was me, I would have just had him just explode everywhere. It's for somebody who's that nasty, that conniving, that devious, and has plotted this for some time to just turn invisible and disappear. It's just a slight cop out. I think it doesn't sit right with me.
He's almost like a homemade marshmallow man.
Yeah, he turns to ice or something, doesn't he? It's just shit. Kind of like, it's just terrible.
How would you have liked to see him die? I have my own. I would have liked this. I would have gotten rid of all that stuff. I would have gotten rid of, maybe the robots and the workers, the dying with the chips and everything. But maybe Cochran is tied up by Chalice and watches his own program with the mask on, and then that
could have been interesting.
And then we see that maybe it doesn't affect him in the end credits. But that was this is long before they even decided to put stuff in the end credits. Usually, in the credits roll up, it was done. All right, your best moment.
I think for me, the best moment would be is the dying moments of the film. You've had this sequence whereas it's revealed that Ellie is an android, a robot, whatever you want to call them. And actually, folks, if you know exactly when she's turned into an android, is she an android throughout the whole thing? Or is it the part when she goes missing from, I think she goes missing from the hotel, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. Is it that part where they take her away to the factory? Is she then turned into an android? Comment below and let us know what your thoughts are on that. I always believe that she's kind of potentially a robot throughout the whole thing. Agreed.
They reactivate her somehow.
Yeah. When it's revealed that she's a robot, you have Tom Atkins having this kind of like fight with this kind of this fake arm, which is quite fun and kind of reminds me a little bit of Ash in Evil Dead 2, fighting with that hand. But it's quite a good sequence when he knocks her head off, isn't it? That's quite convincing.
Ding.
Yeah. And then she's just on the floor with the zzz, zzz, zzz.
What would you do if he picked up her torso and threw the torso in the trunk and took the torso with him?
Yeah. What, left everything else?
Yeah, left her
torso.
Just picked her up and went. That would have been great. There's my Dr. Chalice.
Ah, dear. Waste not, want not. But no, my favorite moment just comes after that, when he's desperately trying to save all the kids across America, and he's screaming down the telephone at the TV stations to turn off the broadcasts. Not knowing what happens and it being ambiguous like that is great. We've talked about this before. Do you think he saved everybody, or do you think that he doesn't make it? Because the original
he did.
Atkins said he did. But the original version of the movie had, like you said, all the kids' heads popping across America, didn't it?
It was like what was it? Secret Service. That movie. Everyone's heads popping off. I would think half of the kids probably would have died. at least half of them. But yeah, I mean, that's my favorite moment as well. Him screaming, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." You know, it's iconic for that movie. That is the iconic scene for this movie, for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think that, you know, there with Halloween 2018, there were a number of kind of nods to various movies throughout the franchise. And, you know, we obviously got the masks from Halloween 3 in Halloween 2018. But I also think that the opening sequence with the podcaster, when he's holding the mask out to Michael and shouting, "Say something, say something, say something, say something." And it kind of, the last time he says it, he sort of screams it. And that scene morphs into the opening credits and the music from Halloween. When I first saw that, I thought, this is a nod to the end of Halloween 3, where Dan Chalice is screaming down the phone, "Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it." And then the music comes in. It felt like a kind of subtle nod to that moment.
Yeah, I can see that now. Now that you mention it, yeah. I forgot to add another best moment is probably the Tom Atkins handiwork cupping Ellie's breast so we can't see it.
You had to go there.
That's probably the worst moment. Another part of me going, "Oh, come on." All right, now the theory I wanted to ask you. People have theorized it for a long time, and I just want to get your opinion on it. What would you say if Michael Myers had one of those shamrock chips in his mask, and that's the cause of him being unstoppable? Do you think that's a ridiculous theory if somebody were to put that from paper to screen?
Do you know what? When I first heard that theory, I read it on the internet, or it was a YouTube video about it. I thought, that's actually not a bad idea. I quite liked it. And the more you think about it, the more you realize it was just completely implausible anyway, because he has killed without the mask on. So it just doesn't make any sense. I think that it doesn't make any sense for that to be. But if it was put to us at the end of Halloween Ends or something like that, and we had no idea about this theory, I would probably think, that's pretty cool. I kind of like the idea of it, but it just doesn't fit. Do you know what I mean? There's things that happen during the...
It could.
Well, you know what? It would explain... I tell you what, it would explain some of the nonsense in Halloween 6, where he's getting beaten about the head and all that kind of green gunk starts coming out of the mask. Because that's what you see when the androids are getting beaten in Halloween 3. Dick Warlock starts vomiting all this kind of thick, syrupy sort of...
tang.
Yeah, this goo, doesn't he? So it could be, it could be that Myers is one of the Silver Shamrock androids.
Yeah, or he was just laughing, taking the piss out of it. Because I think you're imagining Loomis being strapped to a chair with a mask on.
Get out now!
It's a stupid question, Mrs. Cambridge. Oh.
Yeah, no, I think it's a nice idea, but it's implausible, and it wouldn't sit right with everybody.
But we hope everybody enjoyed at least Halloween 3 sober this time.
Yeah. If you go on our podcast channel, we did a commentary of it from last Halloween, whereas every time the Silver Shamrock music came on, we took a shot of our favorite liquor. But not only that, every time that Tom Atkins got a little bit handsy in the movie, we took a shot too, which was just ridiculous because he's doing that all the way through it. So, so we only lasted about half an hour. But yeah, that's on our podcast channel if you want to check that out. It's not on the YouTube channel because obviously we're doing there's no video for it or anything, but it is still quite fun.
We'd be banned.
We'd be banned. We would. We'd be getting dinged all over the place. Folks, thank you very much for the love that we've seen so far with these shows. The numbers have been fantastic, and we've had some amazing comments from people. Like and subscribe to us. If you're not subscribed already, please ding the thing down underneath Frank. There we go. And yeah, we'll see you for Halloween 4. Anything else you want to add, Frank?
No, it's good that you and I are finally talking about a franchise that you and I know basically like the back of our hand. And we're waiting, to hear the rest of the comments from the people that are watching to see what their best and worst parts of Halloween 3 are. And I know what somebody is probably going to write. The whole movie sucks. And to each your own. But other than that, we'll see you on our next episode. As always, stick to the roads.
And the best of luck.